The river was quiet. The water moved slowly, almost like it was tired from so many years of flowing. Big green trees hung over the edges, their long branches touching the surface. Strange birds made soft sounds in the distance. A few shiny silver fish jumped now and then, making small ripples. But besides that, nothing moved. An old alien sat on a rock near the riverbank. His name was Gorlan. His skin was pale gray with lines like cracked stone. His eyes were deep blue and full of memories. He wore an old torn cloak faded from sun and rain. In his hand he held a simple fishing rod made of reed and bone. He didn't speak. He didn't smile. He just watched the water. This was his place. No one came here, and Gorlan liked it that way. Once, many years ago, he had been a general, a leader in a great war. His name was known across planets. Some feared him, others respected him. But war had taken everything, his honor, his family, his son. Now all he wanted was silence. He dipped the line into the water and waited. He liked the sound of the wind in the trees. He liked the cool mist in the air. He liked that no one ever came to bother him. No more noise, no more death, just fish and memories. But today, something felt different. A faint sound. Crunch, crunch. Gorlan didn't move, but his long ears twitched. It was footsteps. Not animal, too heavy, too slow. He tightened his grip on the rod. Then came the smell. Not from this world. Metallic. Burnt. Like oil and blood. A figure appeared between the trees, stumbling, holding one arm against his chest. A human. Gorlan narrowed his eyes. The man wore a torn black suit with red patches. Blood dripped from a wound in his leg. His face was pale, covered in sweat. His eyes, one brown, one mechanical, looked lost. Then the man collapsed. Gorlan stood up slowly, his bones cracked. He hadn't stood in hours. He walked toward the human, each step slow, careful. He hadn't seen a human in 20 years. The eye, last time he saw one, he was holding a blade to its throat. The human groaned, turning his head. Please. Gorlan stopped. Why are you here, human? He said in a deep voice, dry like old paper. The human tried to answer, but no. Words came. His eyes rolled back and he passed out. Gorlan looked around. The forest was still quiet. No ships, no soldiers. Just this one broken man. He should leave him. That's what the world had taught him. But something inside Gorlan refused. He sighed and bent down. Carefully, he picked up the human and carried him to his hut, a small wooden structure hidden under tree roots near the river. It wasn't much. A fire pit, a single bed made from moss, a few jars of dried herbs and fish bones. He laid the human on the bed and checked his wounds. The leg was cut badly. The ribs, maybe broken. But he was alive. Gorlan cleaned the wound with river water and wrapped it with bark cloth. As he worked, he kept glancing at the man's face. He looked young, maybe late 20s in human years. Why was he here? This planet was off limits to most. Had he crashed? Was he running? Or was it worse? As he finished the bandage, something fell out of the man's pocket. A small photo. Folded. Old. Gorlan opened it. His heart stopped. It was a picture of a boy. An alien child with blue eyes. His son. The same face. The same mark on the cheek. He hadn't seen that face in over 30 years. He stared at the photo, hand shaking. How did this human have it? The man groaned again, eyes blinking open for a moment. He looked at Gorlan and whispered a name. Viren. Gorlan dropped the photo. That name. His son's name. He stepped back, breath caught in his throat. Who was this human? Why? Did he speak that name? The fire crackled in the corner. Outside, the wind began to howl louder. A storm was coming. But Gorlan didn't hear the wind anymore. He only heard the ghost of a name. And the heartbeat of something long buried waking up inside him. Rain started to fall. The soft drops hit the roof of Gorlan's old hut like tiny drums. Outside, the sky had turned a dark silver. But inside, the fire glowed warm and steady. Gorlan sat in silence. His large stone-like hands were still shaking. The photo of the alien boy lay on the table beside him, face up. That face haunted him. It was not a dream. It was real. And now a human, bloody and half alive, was lying in the bed, whispering his son's name. Viren. The name burned in his chest like fire. His son had died in the war. That's what they told him. That's what he believed for 30 long years. But now everything felt wrong. The human moved again. Slowly. His chest rising and falling, his skin pale and his lips cracked. Then he groaned and opened one eye. The natural one. Gorlan stood over him, his arms crossed. "Tell me," he said quietly, "how do you know that name?" The human blinked, confused. "Where am I?" "You are safe. For now. Speak, human. Where did you get that photo?" The man looked toward the table and saw the photo. His face changed. "Wait. You know him?" His voice was rough, weak. Gorlan leaned closer. "That boy is my son." The human coughed and a small smile appeared on his dry lips. Then, "You're Gorlan. You're the Gorlan." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Answer me." "My name is Rhett Kale," the man said, slowly sitting up with effort. "I served under Commander Jensen, Earth Fleet, 5 years ago. I'm not your enemy." Gorlan stayed quiet, watching. "I found that photo in a box, hidden in an old rebel bunker," Rhett continued. "It wasn't supposed to be there, but I took it. I didn't know who the kid was. Not until now." Gorlan's voice dropped. "You said his name. How do you know it?" Rhett rubbed his forehead. "Because I heard it, in a recording. There was a message left in the bunker, a voice saying, 'Viren, I'll come back for you, I swear it.' It sounded like a father." Gorlan stepped back, his knees weak. A recording? But he had never made one, not that he remembered. "Why are you on this planet?" Gorlan asked. "I was running," Rhett answered. "Something found me in deep space, a hunter ship. I escaped in a pod and crashed near your river. You brought danger here. I brought truth." Those words cut through the silence. Rhett looked around the hut. "You're hiding, but your past is not dead, Gorlan. It's waiting. Same as you." Gorlan didn't answer. He looked into the fire. The flames danced like ghosts. "I saw your son in another file," Rhett said quietly. "He wasn't dead, Gorlan. He was taken, a child soldier, raised by the enemy. I think he's alive." The fire popped. Gorlan didn't blink. Alive? The thought was too painful to believe, too dangerous to hope. But then Rhett pulled something else from his pocket, a metal dog tag with a strange alien symbol. Gorlan snatched it, eyes wide. The mark. It was the clan mark of his bloodline. Only Viren had it. This was no trick. The scar across Rhett's face, thin and old, shone in the firelight as he spoke again. "I came here to hide, yes, but I think I was also meant to find you." Gorlan's voice was low. "Why?" "Because your son might be out there. And if he is, he's in the hands of the wrong people." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. The rain poured harder. Inside the hut, 2 souls sat in silence, one old and broken, the other scarred and searching. The fire between them was small, but growing. "I don't have much time," Rhett said. "If they followed my pod, they'll be here soon." Gorlan slowly reached into a wooden chest under his bed. He pulled out something wrapped in old cloth. Unfolding it revealed a curved alien blade, polished and sharp, glowing faint blue from within. He looked at Rhett with new eyes. "I swore I'd never pick this up again," Gorlan said. "Then why now?" Rhett asked. Gorlan's lips moved for the first time into something close to a smile, a sad one, because no father should leave his child in the dark. The rain didn't stop. It fell like a curtain around Gorlan's hut, hiding them from the outside world. But inside, the quiet had turned heavy. No longer peaceful. Now it felt like waiting before battle. Rhett sat on a stone bench, breathing, slow. His wounds still hurt, but something stronger than pain burned inside him now. Purpose. Across from him, the old alien was sharpening a blade with practiced hands, eyes focused, jaw tight. "You still move like a warrior," Rhett said, quietly. Gorlan didn't look up. "Because I never stopped being one. I just pretended." The fire crackled between them. Shadows moved on the wooden walls. "You were feared in every fleet report I read," Rhett continued. "They called you the River Ghost." Gorlan let out a dry laugh, like gravel grinding. "I only ever wanted peace, but they saw only my weapon." There was silence. Then Rhett reached into his gear again. He pulled out a small black cube, charred on the edges, flashing faint green. "This was in the same bunker as the photo," he said. "I didn't play it before. I didn't know who it belonged to, but I think it's yours." He placed the cube on the table. Gorlan stared at it. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then slowly, he reached out and tapped it. A tiny hologram lit the air, flickering, broken, full of static. But through the noise, a boy's voice echoed. "Father, if you find this..." I waited. I believed you'd come. They told me you were dead, but I didn't believe them. I never did. Gorlan froze. The voice was younger, but clear. "They're turning us into soldiers, making us forget who we are. But I remember your fishing rod. I remember the river. Please, if you're alive, find me." The message ended in static. Gorlan sat still, blade in one hand, the other gripping the edge of the table. Rhett didn't speak. He didn't need to. Then Gorlan looked up, and his eyes were not quiet anymore. "I buried my war spirit deep," the old alien said, "but my son's voice just dug it out." He stood, taller than Rhett expected. His back was no longer hunched, his hands steady. The fire's reflection danced in his blue eyes. "He's alive," Rhett whispered. Gorlan nodded once, then both of them turned at the same time. A noise. Not from the rain, not from nature. A soft hum, like wings, but heavier. A ship. Outside, the trees shook as something large passed overhead. Rhett cursed and grabbed his pulse pistol. "They tracked my crash. They're here." Gorlan moved fast, pulling a carved stick from the corner wall. He tapped it against the floor. A part of the hut's stone wall creaked open, a hidden tunnel, dug deep into the roots of the forest. "You knew this might happen," Rhett said. "I always prepare for death," Gorlan replied. "It comes for me often." They slipped inside. The wall sealed behind them. The tunnel was dark, lit only by glowing moss. It smelled of wet earth and old metal. "Where does it lead?" Rhett asked as they moved. "To the cliffs," Gorlan said. "There's an old skylift platform, long abandoned. But if we reach it, we can call help." "Help from where?" Gorlan paused. "From the stars, from old debts." Rhett didn't ask more. He understood. Gorlan had not always been alone. As they walked, the sounds behind them grew louder. Boots, voices, a language that mixed alien growls with human syllables. The hunters. They had arrived, but Gorlan didn't stop. Even with age in his bones, he moved like the river, silent, strong, and unstoppable. Finally, they reached the mouth of the tunnel. Ahead, the cliff opened wide into the stormy sky. Lightning cracked in the distance. The lift was still there, rusted, half-covered in vines, but real. Rhett rushed forward, starting the controls. Gorlan stood watch, blade ready. Then, another voice. Behind them. Gorlan. Both turned fast. A figure stepped from the shadows, armor black and eyes glowing red. But Gorlan's blade didn't move. His hand trembled. The voice, it was deep, familiar. The figure stepped closer and removed its helmet. Rhett froze. It was an alien face, but younger, harder, scarred. Gorlan whispered, "Virain?" The figure blinked, then said softly, "I knew you'd come." The storm screamed across the cliff. Winds howled like wild beasts, and rain hit the ground like falling knives. But none of it mattered now. Not to Gorlan. Not as he stood frozen, staring at the face he had mourned for decades. Virain, his son, alive, changed. The boy who once sat by the river learning how to fish, now wore black war armor with sharp edges and glowing red eyes. His face was the same, but colder, harder. There was a long scar over his right cheek. The light in his eyes was not from childhood anymore. Rhett slowly raised his weapon. "He's with them, Gorlan. Look at the armor." Gorlan didn't blink. His voice was like thunder, deep, slow, and full of pain. "Take your hand off. The trigger, human. But I said lower it." Rhett obeyed but kept his eyes sharp. Virain stepped closer, helmet still in his left hand. The wind tossed his long silver hair around his face. "I didn't think you were real," he said quietly. "I thought you died." "And I thought I buried you," Gorlan replied. A bitter laugh escaped Virain's lips. Funny how war lies to both sides. For a moment, the storm faded behind them. It was just a father and a son facing years of silence, hurt, and questions neither one could ask before. "I searched for you," Gorlan said. "I waited for you," Virain replied. Rhett shifted uneasily. "Gorlan, we don't have time. More soldiers are coming. And if he's with them, I'm not," Virain said suddenly. "Not truly." Gorlan's eyes narrowed. "Then why are you wearing their skin?" Virain looked away. His voice turned low. "Because it was the only way to survive." Lightning flashed behind them. The metal lift groaned in the wind. Rhett stepped closer. "Then help us escape," he said. "Prove it." Virain stared at him. "I saw you once. On a screen. You were a soldier. You helped a village escape a bombing. That's why I spared you, Rhett." Rhett blinked. "You knew who I was?" "I watch everything," Virain replied. "I wait for signs." Another blast of thunder. Another roar in the distance. Then a voice over a nearby radio crackled in. "Unit 3, status report. Have you located the fugitive human and the old asset?" Virain's hand moved to his earpiece. He tapped it. "Negative," he said coolly. "No sign yet. The storm has erased tracks. Continuing search." He looked at his father. "That's the last lie. I'll speak for them." Then he tossed his earpiece into the wind. Gorlan's blade lowered, but his eyes stayed heavy. "Why now, son? Why return now?" Virain stepped forward. "Because I heard the recording." "You left it." "No, it was sent without my order. An old droid, maybe. But when I heard it played, I knew it would lead you." Gorlan's hands tightened. "You could have found me." I was ashamed. The truth hung in the rain like a knife. Rhett cleared his throat. "Not to break the moment, but we really have to leave. I hear engines." All three turned. In the sky above, red lights flashed through the clouds. Drop ships. Dozens. Virain cursed. They sent the whole squadron. Rhett grabbed the side panel of the lift. "It's ready. If it still works, it can take us to the canyon, into the fog zone. No radar there." Gorlan looked at Virain. "You coming?" His son hesitated. "They'll mark me a traitor." "You already are," Gorlan said, stepping onto the platform. Rhett followed. Virain looked back once, toward the sound of approaching death, then stepped onto the lift. He touched a hidden key in his armor. A small pulse bomb dropped behind them and attached to the tunnel wall. "Just in case they follow," he said. The lift jerked and began to descend, down into the deep canyon, vanishing into mist. As they dropped, The sound of engines grew louder, above. Shadows passed overhead. Soldiers shouted, but they were too late. Boom. The pulse bomb exploded above, sealing the tunnel. Inside the lift, the three stood silent. Rain poured around them. The storm still roared. But none of them heard it. Their war had just begun. The canyon was deep and full of fog. The lift creaked as it moved down, vanishing into the thick mist. Below, the ground was uneven, made of broken rocks, old trees, and silent ruins covered in moss. The place felt forgotten by time. Gorlan stepped off the platform first, his boots crunching on wet stone. Rhett followed, gun in hand. Virain came last, his black armor glowing faint red in the dim light. The three moved carefully. The storm above had faded, but something worse waited here. Memories. This path is older than any city, Gorlan said, touching a stone wall shaped like a claw. Before the war, our people held ceremonies here. Now, it's just bones and ghosts. They walked until they reached a narrow, broken bridge stretched across a wide, dark chasm. Half the planks were missing. The ropes were covered in green vines, and below nothing but black mist. Rhett stopped. Is that safe? No, Virain said flatly. But it's the only way. Gorlan placed his hand on the rope. This is where I lost him, he said quietly. Rhett turned. What? This is where the last battle happened, years ago. I crossed this bridge with my unit. We were surrounded. I thought my son died here. I left, and never came back. Virain stepped forward, looking down at the mist. I didn't die. I fell. Gorlan turned sharply. I fell into that chasm, Virain continued. I remember the cold. I remember waking up in a prison ship weeks later. They said you abandoned me. They lied, Gorlan growled. I know that. Now. But back then, I believed them. Silence. Only the wind blew through the cracks in the stones. Then, crack. A sharp sound echoed behind them. Rhett spun around. We're not alone. In the fog behind, red lights blinked. Drones. At least 5 of them hovered silently, scanning the ground. They've found us, Virain said. Move, now! One by one, they crossed the bridge. Gorlan led, stepping lightly despite his size. He knew where the ropes were weak. He knew which planks would snap. He had walked this bridge once as a soldier. Now he walked it as a father. Rhett followed carefully, gun pointed behind. Virain crossed last, his armor heavier. As he stepped onto the bridge, one of the drones fired. Zzzt! A beam hit the side rope, cutting it. The bridge swung hard. Virain lost his balance. Virain! Gorlan shouted. Virain grabbed a plank and held tight, legs dangling over the mist. I've got you, Rhett yelled, turning back. No! Virain growled. Keep moving. But Gorlan was already on his knees, reaching down. Give me your hand. Another drone fired. A blast hit the stone near Rhett. Virain looked up at his father. His hand reached. Gorlan gripped it tight and pulled. With a roar, he lifted his son up and dragged him to the other side. They tumbled to the ground together. Rhett fired at the drones, hitting 2. The others flew back into the fog. The bridge groaned, then collapsed into the chasm. The way back was gone. All 3 lay on the ground, breathing hard. You saved me again, Virain said softly. Gorlan looked at him, eyes full of fire. I never stopped trying. Then he stood and faced the path ahead. Beyond this canyon lies the old watchtower, he said. If we reach it, we can send a signal. To who? Rhett asked. To someone I trusted once, Gorlan replied. He owes me a favor, and he still has a ship. Virain stood, brushing dirt off his armor. Then we move. Fast. As they walked deeper into the canyon, the sky above turned orange. Night was falling, and far behind them, the remaining drones circled high, watching. A voice whispered through their network. They crossed the bridge. Confirmed identities Gorlan, Virain, and the human. Permission to deploy hunter units? The reply came cold and clear. Permission granted. Bring them back. Or burn everything. Night wrapped the canyon in a cloak of shadows. Only the stars and a thin moonlight guided their steps. The three moved quickly in single file. Gorlan leading, Rhett in the middle, Virain at the rear. Their breathing was low, hearts pounding. Every crack of stone underfoot sounded like thunder. Every distant howl felt like the hunters closing. In ahead rose a tall stone ruin, an old watchtower half broken by time. Vines covered its walls and the top was jagged, yet a single window near the top still had a piece of glass. That was their goal. Gorlan stopped at the base. He placed his large hand on a carved symbol, an eagle with outstretched wings. He whispered, "This mark means friendship. Many years ago, old allies built this to watch the skies." Rhett crouched beside him. "Will it still send a signal?" Gorlan nodded. "If we find the crystal and place it right." He pointed at a small compartment near the symbol. "It hides the signal crystal. But beware, the lock is old." Virain walked up. "Give me a moment." He knelt and gently brushed away moss. His scarred hands worked with surprising care. With a soft click, the compartment opened to reveal a glowing blue crystal, still alive after all these years. "Got it," Virain said, lifting it carefully. Gorlan's eyes softened. "Well done." Rhett turned to leave, but a soft noise stopped him. From behind the tower's rubble, a group of hunter units crept out, silent, at least 6 of them. They wore black armor and carried pulse rifles. Rhett hissed, "We have company." Gorlan studied the hunters. "They won't leave quietly." He set the crystal on the ground and backed away. "Virain, place it in the slot now." Virain ran forward. A hunter saw him and shouted. Lasers sliced the air. Virain dove to one side and rolled. Up above, Gorlan raised his old blade and roared. He charged the nearest hunter, swinging the blade in a wide arc. Sparks flew as metal met metal. The hunter stumbled and Gorlan knocked him aside. Behind the tower, Rhett took cover. He aimed carefully and fired. One hunter fell, then another. Virain crawled to the compartment. Bullets hit stones around him. He didn't freeze. He pushed the crystal into its slot. The compartment sealed with a soft hum. A hidden antenna rose from the tower's top. Instantly, a beam of light shot into the sky, thin but bright. It flickered, once, twice, then steadied. Rhett and Gorlan saw it and smiled, but only for a heartbeat. A loud mechanical shriek echoed as the hunters regrouped. The first hunter leapt at Virain, blade drawn. Virain ducked and kicked the soldier's knee. The hunter fell. Virain grabbed him and threw him into another. Nearby, Gorlan faced 3 hunters. He moved like water, flowing around their attacks. He blocked a rifle butt, then twisted and broke the attacker's arm. He kicked another into the dust, then slid between their legs and knocked them down. Rhett ran to help Virain. Together they took down the last 2 hunters, Rhett's pistol and Virain's bare hands working in perfect sync. Within moments it was over. 6 hunters lay still in the moonlight. Silence returned. Their breaths were heavy, their hearts still pounding. Virain wiped blood from his cheek and stood. That should hold them off. Gorlan nodded, though his old bones ached. It will take time for more units to arrive. We must go now. Rhett checked the rifle. Where to? Gorlan pointed toward the canyon's edge. Through the mist they saw faint city lights, an abandoned landing pad where his old friend kept a hidden ship. Let's move, he said. They ran past the fallen hunters and through a side passage in the tower's base. It led to a narrow ledge along the cliff. The wind was colder here, and every step felt like walking on air. Halfway across, Virain stumbled on a loose rock. Gorlan grabbed his arm. Steady. Virain nodded, but his face was tense. I remember this ledge. I walked it as a child, holding your hand. A silence fell between them. A memory of happier days, before war, before loss. Rhett watched them move with new respect. He realized this was more than a mission. It was a family reuniting. At last, they reached the edge of the cliff. Below lay a small landing pad with a sleek ship hidden under camo netting. The ship's engines glowed faint purple. Ready, waiting. Gorlan tapped a code into the console. The netting withdrew. The hatch opened. Warm light spilled out. He turned to his son. All set? Viren looked at the ship, then at his father. His voice was steady. Yes. Rhett climbed in, checking his gear. Let's get out of here. Gorlan placed a hand on Viren's shoulder. It's time to go home, or to start a new one. Viren nodded, climbing in next to his father. They both took their seats. Gorlan pressed the launch button. The engines roared to life. Rhett watched them ascend, the canyon shrinking below. As the ship lifted, a storm broke overhead, the real one, crashing thunder and lightning across the sky. But inside the ship, a new path was clear. A father, a son, and a human brother flying together into the stars. The stars stretched wide above them, calm, endless, beautiful. The ship moved quietly through the edge of space, leaving behind the broken canyon, the bridge of bones, and the ruins soaked in memory. But what truly mattered now was not what they left, but what they carried forward. Inside the ship, the air was still. The hum of engines was soft, steady. Gorlan sat in the pilot seat, hands firm on the controls, eyes focused yet thoughtful. Across from him, Viren leaned against the wall, one arm resting on a steel beam, his black armor scratched but whole. And beside them, Rhett sat back, his head tilted toward the window, watching the stars slide past. No one spoke at first. There was nothing left to say, yet so much left to feel. Then Gorlan broke the silence. Where will you go now? He asked quietly without looking. Viren didn't answer at first. He looked at his gloved hands. I don't know. I've worn this armor for so long. I forgot what it feels like to choose. You can still choose, Gorlan said. You did when you reached for my hand. Viren looked up. His father's voice wasn't sharp. It was soft. Real. Like it used to sound when he was young, sitting by the river learning how to hold a fishing rod. Rhett stretched his arms. We've all got ghosts. Some chase us. Others wait to be forgiven. Gorlan gave a small nod. And some ride with us. He stood and walked toward a small locker near the back. From it, he pulled out a long, thin object wrapped in cloth. He brought it to Viren and unwrapped it gently. Inside was a simple fishing rod, old, worn, but strong. Viren blinked. You kept it? He asked. It was yours, Gorlan said. Viren took the rod in his hands. It felt light, but heavier than anything he'd held in years. Gorlan sat beside him. There's a river on Galdar 9. It's quiet, pure, no soldiers, no orders, just water and time. You're inviting me? Viren asked. I'm asking you, Gorlan replied. To come, not just as a soldier, not as a warrior, as my son. The moment hung between them, and then slowly, Viren nodded. I'd like that. Rhett smiled from the side. Count me in too. Never been fishing with two aliens before. Gorlan chuckled. We don't fish like humans. Yeah? Rhett grinned. You catch them with your bare hands? No, Gorlan said. We sing to them. Viren smirked. He's serious, I remember. Suddenly a light blinked on the ship's console. A message. Gorlan walked over and pressed it. A calm female voice came through. This is the independent trade port of Delos Prime. Unidentified ship, we have received your signal. Do you require aid? Gorlan pressed a button and answered. This is vessel Riverbound, we carry 3. No cargo, just peace. There was a short pause. Welcome, Riverbound. You're cleared for landing. May your waters be smooth. Gorlan smiled. The ship turned gently toward the spaceport. A small, peaceful outpost built on a green moon far from war, far from Empire reach. As the stars shifted, Gorlan spoke one more time. My son, we are not born whole. We are shaped by love, by pain, by the hands that hold us, or leave us. Viren listened closely. You were shaped by war, but that is not the end of your shape. Viren nodded once, firmly. Then let's shape something better. Rhett leaned back and closed his eyes. I've been a soldier, runner, a survivor. Maybe now, I'll be a friend. The ship passed through the atmosphere. The green moon below opened like a dream. Trees, rivers, peace. As they prepared to land, Gorlan looked down at the fishing rod, then at his son, then out the window the river waited, and for the first time in years, so did hope.